Hey folks, I just want to explain the reasons why I chose my 2000 CBR600rr as my first super sport bike, coming from my starter bike, which was a 2011 CBR250R. When I sat on this bike, it felt very comfortable. It felt very similar to the CBR250R in that it felt slim between my legs. It felt very lightweight. It felt comfortable. I felt very confident when I sat on this bike. And although it has a slightly more aggressive seating position than CBR250R, one thing that I noticed is that when you set up close to the tank, and if you took one hand off the handlebar, you were in a completely upright position. And this was something I was unable to do on the other Supersport bikes, such as the ZX6R, the Gixxer 600 and 750, and the Yamaha R6. This felt the most comfortable out of all of them. And you know, I've heard in so many reviews and the Supersport shootouts that, you know, the CBR bikes are very comfortable, and it's true. This is one of the most comfortable bikes compared to the other Supersports. Also, what I liked about this bike is that it has a gas gauge. I believe this is the only Supersport bike that has a gas gauge out of the current lineup of bikes. And I like that because it allows me to know exactly how much gas I have in there so that I can go on long trips and not have to worry about exactly how much gas I have in the tank. Especially because I like to go out on these long country roads, and sometimes you hardly ever come across a gas station. So I'd hate to have to use a trip timer and you know, wait for the low light fuel indicator like you do on the other super sports. So I think that's really awesome. Also, one thing that I noticed about this bike is that, again, when it comes to the comfort, the CBR250R, I had some, like, I'd get hand fatigue for some reason on that bike. And with this, you know, my left hand would go to sleep sometimes on that bike. I have no idea why, but with this bike, I've never had that problem. So really, this bike is more comfortable than the CBR250R to me. It has really been a pleasure to ride this bike. But also, another factor is that this bike has a great dealer network. There's Honda dealerships all over the country. I mean, unlike the Triumph, where you're lucky to find one in your state sometimes. So, and also the parts are much cheaper on this bike than most of the other super sport brands. I think it's #2 behind Yamaha as far as in you know, inexpensive part prices. So, and also what I've noticed is the insurance is cheaper on this bike compared to the other brand name bikes. You know, I did some research and called several different insurance companies and got some quotes on different bikes, and this was the cheapest. I only paid $290 a year with State Farm, and that's full coverage with $250 deductibles. And that's only like $100 and, you know, more than I paid on my CBR250R. So, I mean, you can't beat that with a stick. Another thing that I really like about this bike is it has a built-in steering damper, which is known as the HESD, which is the Honda Electric Steering Damper. And it's built in. It's right in front of the tank underneath. And I think that's really awesome. I mean, this bike is really nimble at low speeds. It's just so smooth and easy to ride on this bike. Compared to like the ZX6R, which you have to get the Olin steering damper, which I hate those bars that go across. I think it's ugly, and it also prevents you from using the triple tree hole, which I like to use to install a GPS dock. So, and another reason is this bike has an undertail exhaust, which I think is awesome. It makes the bike look cleaner. I like it out of the way. I've always hated having an exhaust on the side of the bike. You know, and just to let you guys know, from 2007 on, you don't have any heat problems from you know, sitting from the seat area with the exhaust underneath the tail there. I know they had some problems in the earlier models, but not in the 2007 and 12. I've had absolutely no problems with heat in the seat area at all. But also the bike, another very important factor, reason why I got this bike, is that it is one of the lightest 600 bikes out there. I believe the only bike that is lighter than this is the Triumph 675R, and it's only by a few pounds. But this bike weighs 410 pounds wet. And with my Two Brothers slip-on exhaust, it only weighs 400 pounds. So we're talking only about 40 pounds heavier than the CBR600rr ABS bike that I had. It's real light, I'll tell you guys, man. It feels so confident, inspiring on this bike. I mean, I can literally flip this bike over in corners and not think twice about it. It's awesome. But also, another reason why I chose the 2008 CBR600rr and as opposed to getting a newer model is because the 2007 and 2008 have a higher top end speed on this bike. The year 2009 and newer, they took some of the top end off to reduce the emissions on the bike. So I don't know if you guys know that or not, but if you go on the forums, they consider the 2007, 2008, which are basically the same bike, as the best model year of all the CBR600rrs. So that's something to keep in mind there. Also, this bike is very aesthetically pleasing to me. I think it's a beautiful bike. I know beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and everybody has their own specific taste, but I've always been attracted to this bike. I even bought the model of this bike. As you guys know from that video I did where I faked you guys out, made you think I got a brand new CBR600rr when it was actually a toy. But yeah, I bought that before I bought this bike. That's how much I was enamored with this bike. I think it's really a good looking bike. And you know, I've always been enamored with these bikes ever since my brother had a 2000 and he had a 1994 CBR900rr, and man, I thought that bike was the baddest bike, and that bike is a legend to this day. That bike is a beast. That bike was one of the lightest leader bikes of its time, and actually it's still considered light today. But I think it only weighed about 430 pounds or something, and I think the next bike that was close to that was 100 pounds heavier at that time. So that goes to show you how far ahead of the game Honda was.
In the last 2 decades, the Honda CBR600rr. Not just another new machine, a whole new dimension in sport motorcycling. There has never been another machine quite like it. Never before has so much muscle been combined with such phenomenal handling. Astonishing horsepower packed into a mere 400-pound package. This machine was born to move. From its RR designation to its lightweight aluminum U-spoke wheels and enormously wide radial tires, from the sleek aerodynamic lines of its fairing and body to its massive, rigid yet amazingly light twin-spar all-aluminum frame, from its adjustable suspension featuring a huge 45mm cartridge front fork to its all-new engine, a highly compact, state-of-the-art 900cc inline 4. This machine was designed for one purpose: to be the most exciting, sure-footed, high-tech street bike ever made. The Honda CBR900.
And Honda's reliability is #1 and unmatched. Actually, there's a 2004 Honda CBR600rr with over 200,000 miles. You can check it out on YouTube, man. I mean, these bikes will last forever as long as you take care of them. I've ridden this bike over 2,500 miles so far, and I'll tell you, I'm absolutely in love with this bike. I love the power of the bike. I mean, it's quick off the line. It's the mid-range is excellent. The top end is excellent. It's so stable. It's so smooth. It's far as fuel efficiency for this bike, I'm averaging 43 miles per gallon. My very best tank is 49 miles per gallon, which I chronicled in a previous YouTube video. You can check out my numbers on my fuel report, which is, the link is listed on my main YouTube page. And man, you know, I'm not, you know, treating this bike like a scooter, man. I'm really cranking the throttle on the back roads. I'm having a good time on this bike. I do save a little bit of gas because I coast around town here and there, but you know, on the back roads, as you guys see in my videos, man, I'm hauling ass on this bike and having a good time. You know, you don't buy a Super Sport for fuel efficiency, but on this bike you can get decent numbers. I mean, 49 miles per gallon on a Super Sport is excellent on any Super Sport bike. And that's, like I said, I haven't been riding this bike around like a scooter all the time. If I actually tried to save on this, I could easily get at least 55 miles per gallon on this bike. And mind you, I do have a Two Brothers Black Series slip-on, which actually reduces fuel efficiency by at least 1 to 2 miles per gallon. But I'm going to sign off here, and I'm going to leave you with a sampling of my Two Brothers Black Series exhaust on my 2008 Honda CBR600rr. So until next time, folks, take care.